It's your boy, yadiiiigg, 4 I's, 2 G's, and me and Luke are back. Welcome back. Thank you for being a part of this again. If you didn't see the other videos, it's just basically a little thing where we just talk and discuss a couple topics. You know, I like, and I respect his opinion on hip hop. I think he's got a good knowledge base, so I think he brings a good perspective. Also, he's got his own review on testing, a little write-up, so I'll put that link in the description, so feel free to check that out if you're keen. But yeah, today, talking about testing, we're going to be talking about A$AP Rocky, and basically just discussing, has he fallen off, whereabouts does he stand, whatnot. As always, there's like a few different ways to look at it and break it down. We're going to discuss commercially, artistically, and kind of like culturally. So first off, we always want to discuss some music. So, you know, where do you stand with Rocky? You know, has he fallen off?
Yeah, like, I thought testing was really disappointing. Like, if I was like a Rocky stan, you know, I'd be shattered. Like, a 3-year wait for that, I'd be really, really let down. You know, some might even say, you know, a few people on the internet forcing themselves to like the album, and the Rocky stands in shambolics. Like, with testing, I thought really, really disappointing. I guess I'll start with what I liked. I thought the intro, Distorted Records, was a good track. Like,
I liked it.
I think Distorted Records and Tony Tone really embody the whole testing aesthetic. You know, the crash dummies,
that hard sound,
sort of like industrial
sound,
yeah, exactly,
like
grimy type shit. Like Tony Tone, that buzzsaw. You know, I thought it was a guitar. Apparently, it's a saxophone. Like, it just hits. You know, it's got those crazy drums. It's got that Puff Daddy shit talk. Like, that's a hard track. Distorted Records, similar. Like, I can't wait. Hopefully, it comes over here to Australia. We check that out. It'd be a great intro. And then A$AP Forever, I think, is one of the songs of the year. I wasn't a huge fan of the changes. I think the Cuddy verse is big mid. Like, I'm
a huge fan of the Cuddy verse personally.
That's fair enough. But the song itself, I think, is really good.
And it's interesting because it's not like our perspectives. Like, I like the album a bit more than Luke, but like, we don't necessarily love the album, and I think that's a general consensus on it. It's the general consensus is it's just not a very good album.
I think. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. The general consensus is it's not a very good album, and kind of putting this in context with Rocky's lead up to testing. You know, we had Live Love, which no one can contest. Great album artistically. Long Live, Step Down. I think it's a general consensus that it goes Live Love, then a Long Live was a step down, and then Allah was also
very divisive.
Very decisive.
I'm a big fan of Allah personally. I don't think it's the experimental masterpiece some people try and put it forward as, but I think for the most part, he does what Rocky does really well. That's rap, have that charisma, that fashion rap, that drip rap, what he nails.
I don't necessarily agree. I think it still didn't really reach those expectations. Again, it was a 3-year wait. Or 3-year wait. He put so much into that album and so many expectations that it ultimately, I don't think it hit those expectations. And then again, he hasn't hit those expectations. And it seems that every time it's just we're looking for that quality that we saw in Live Love, and it's just ultimately that Rocky just isn't getting there.
And I think the thing that disappoints people is that it doesn't have to be the same music as Live Love. Like, he's not going to go back to that.
I don't want that sound.
Southern influence.
I don't necessarily want that sound, but even just listen to what he was doing on testing, like, some of it is just like, what the fuck is he doing? Like genuinely.
A$AP Rocky can't sing. Why is he doing that for 20-30 minutes on his album? You know, why is he trying to rap over a little acoustic guitar on Purity, which Frank's part and
I like this song
amazing.
personally.
But I think Rocky's verse on Purity is so, like, the content of the verse is quality, but the delivery is so poor, and that's something you wouldn't expect to say for Rocky. He's always shines in his delivery.
I think he's tried to take a lot of what Frank was doing on Blondes and just try to like take influence on that, but ultimately he just doesn't have that range, that he just has the same vocals.
He's tried to pack in so much into the album, like Big Brother Man, everything that's going on. It's a mess. Like, it doesn't work.
Genuinely, like, the album as a whole is a mess.
I think it's lacked focus and direction. I don't think he knew what he was doing. I saw someone say that experimentation is a means to an end. It's not the end. It feels like with Rocky, he's thrown all these different sounds, vocal effects, distortion,
it's
everything.
Experimentation. It must be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the final product. It's not what it should be.
And I think Yams, it's interesting the role that Yams must have played in his creative process.
Control.
I mean, Live Love, we all know that was basically Yams. Like, it's well known that, like, he curated that whole project, and like, even to listen to what Tyler Grosso has said about Long Live A$AP. He said that Yams didn't have much influence in Long Live at all, and he said that Yams didn't like that album.
I think you talk about A$AP Ferg as well for the Yams point. Like, I mean, Trap Lord is, you know, borderline classic, like, amazing debut project.
Out of here.
And then we have
just going down.
We don't want to talk about
Ferg too much, but we all know what's going on with Ferg right now.
100%.
But yeah, kind of get into our end thoughts on like where Rocky is artistically.
Just lost.
Just lost at this point, and I think we'll touch on the sales more in a second. But like the whole reception from the album, it just kind of like encapsulates the general feeling. It's like he's just lost. He just doesn't know where to go.
It hasn't hit well critically. It hasn't hit well commercially, which we'll get to.
Yeah,
and overall,
certainly fans are disappointed.
100%.
It's 100%. Yeah, so I don't think it's definitely not a good situation for Rocky right now.
The sales.
I mean, fuck. Do we even have to say anything?
Like,
okay, here's it. How the fuck are you gonna do 2,000 less than Pusha T?
Yeah.
Or 1,000 less than Pusha T or whatever, like a couple K. More.
74 to 72. I mean, 74,000 when you got Cardi off pretty limited hype and
61K.
doing 61K.
Yachty doing 64.
Like,
Baby doing 71.
That's a phenomenal.
That's amazing. That's amazing in and of itself. And then go.
He sold less with each of his albums, Rocky.
That's a bit, and it's not even just like a little bit less. Allah sold borderline 150,000.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at in 3 years' time, you've literally cut your fan base in half.
I mean, Rocky is always thought to be in that A grade with that Big Sean, those sort of names. Like
2012, 13, around Long Live, the discussion was literally like Rocky was top 5.
Exactly.
That was the discussion that was going on when fucking Problems came out. People were kind of thinking Rocky, Drake, Kendrick, like that was like top 3, top 4, top 5,
100%.
like that was kind of a discussion that was going on, and it's just like nah, he's just not there anymore.
I think the problem with testing is that it had a big rollout, it had a proper rollout. Some people try and convince you otherwise, but it had the dummy singles all trash. None of them caught on. 5 Stars was one of the biggest letdowns.
Yeah, 5 Stars
biggest Lucy letdowns ever. Like, what happened there? He had the performance on Fallon.
He had the Lab Rat thing on MTV.
The Lab Rat thing. He had the posters and the billboards.
And like, I'm not even gonna lie, the whole rollout scheme was like kind of. I like the aesthetic of Tessin personally. I like the whole rollout, the idea of the Lab Rat. Like, not the execution so much, but I like what he did on Kimmel.
Sure.
I thought it was interesting to see the rollout kind of take place. But yeah, ultimately unless the music connects.
Yeah,
it's just not going to hit.
The aesthetic was cool, but it's just a case of style over substance.
Yeah, and
in
it's
terms
just
of connecting to the music.
And commercially, I mean, the album's not going to have a hit.
No, not at all.
I mean, ASAP Forever is his biggest song in a minute, and that is like 20 mil plus on YouTube. That's not a hit.
100%, no.
That is not a hit. I mean, it's pretty good that it's got that many views, but it's just not a hit.
I mean, credit to RCA for not forcing like a radio hit onto the album. Like, I think a record label and sort of Rocky, get credit for that. But in this case, it's hurt his sales, it's hurt his numbers because of how inaccessible the rest of the album is.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be going out and people bumping OG Beeper.
It's a fact. Like, getting back to that point, if it did have a radio single, I think it would have helped. But like, again, Rocky hasn't really had a radio single himself almost. Like, fucking Problems. If you're gonna have Kendrick and Drake on a song, that's a hit automatically. He's gonna bop off. Wild for the Night with Skrillex, or like his hits have always kind of been like, a lot of the time, like he's had features or something to help him get those hits.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's been a minute since a hit, and I think it's gonna continue to be a minute since a hit for Rocky.
I think the only Rocky you're gonna be hearing in public, that Lord Pretty Flocka Joy too, man. That's a classic.
That's a classic. Pretty Flocka too.
Hasn't topped it since.
Yeah. Yeah, so Rocky's definitely fallen off commercially. There's no doubt about that.
No.
It's sad to see.
It is. He's the first of the sort of that 2010, 2012 way to really fall off.
I mean, like out of that whole wave, you got Sean, Drake, Kendrick, that whole like top 5 Future from there as well.
100%.
And like, as much as we might hate on Big Sean, like his last album, I'm not sure about the Metro album, but his last album did numbers.
Yeah.
He has so many hits. Drake, Kendrick doesn't really need to be said about their commercial status, and neither does Future really. And then we get to his cultural impact, and this is an interesting one. This is an interesting discussion considering what we said about him artistically and him commercially. I think his cultural impact is still there.
I don't know if I can agree. I don't think he's the fashion icon that he once was. I mean, he's getting placements, but I'm not too sure. I haven't seen him on a cover in a minute. I mean, he had that complex cover, which was part of the thing. That flopped hard.
He was just on GQ,
400k views on
the
a pretty highly anticipated interview and sort of placement. I mean, who knows the personal side? He's broken up with Kendall Jenner. He's lost the drip off the court. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I still think he's still looked at in that fashion world. He was on GQ. He's done big stuff in the fashion world. But even outside of just the fashion, I think because like the whole generation under him looks up to him. Yeah, like Uzi, Cardi, that Yachty, they all look up to Rocky. They all grew up with Rocky, so they're always gonna put him on. They're always gonna help him, keep him culturally relevant. And I think that's why Rocky was able to take 3 years off and still be kind of a name. It's because of how well he's kept the people around him to almost keep him relevant.
Well, he's definitely kept his name sort of in the news. His features in late 2017 and sort of early this year have been quite quality. I mean, like Pick It Up was a good song.
Pick It Up was a good song that did
bubbled well on the charts. RAF was a crazy song.
New Chopper,
100%, great feature. That's part of why the album was so disappointing. He showed he can still rap really well, and he just did it on the album. I mean, like it or not, I think it was No Limit with G-Eazy as well.
Yeah, that was
another big song.
That was a huge
top 10,
song.
So he's kept his name out there for sure, but that obviously hasn't translated into success. As a solid project.
And I think pushing forward, even though he's flopped commercially and Tessin isn't that good artistically, I still think he's going to remain fairly culturally relevant.
100%,
because he's a celebrity almost. He's got that celebrity status outside of it that will just stay there. And as I said, the people he surrounds himself with is really will always help to keep him relevant.
I think the Org Collective are really interesting, you know, like what Desks to Navy, Hiji Films are doing on the visual side. Obviously what guys like Cardi are doing with the music, and then you got guys like Incon more on the fashion side. They've got a good setup at Org, and always interesting to see their aesthetic, that 90s sort of throwback they're going with cool. is really cool. So I think Rocky, he has the credits in the bank to sort of bounce back from testing and what's happened right now, but it's going to require some work. Some big thinking.
Some big thinking. It's going to require go back to the drawing board
100%.
and see where he is. So I think wrapping it up, we had the three kind of things we discussed. It was kind of artistically, questionable at best. I mean, questionable at best. Every project has been just arguably every project has been a decline. Definitely Testing was a decline.
100%.
And it just really shows, I think, how lost he is right now. And just since that Yams has really, like, that vision is kind of like
sort of collapsed almost.
Definitely, Then we've commercially, I mean, 70k, done and dusted, no hit, nothing.
Shut the book.
Fuck, it's not looking good commercially for him at all. And then culturally, I mean, he's there still, but he's always just gonna be there. It's Rocky. He's always gonna have that name culturally.
I'm still checking for ASAP Rocky music.
That's the thing.
Testing, people on the internet, we're still checking for it.
That's at the end of the day. I think that's what it comes down. Like, he's still gonna have that name commercially. He's always gonna be able to stay relevant, but it's just all three aspects have taken a hit.
100%.
100% have taken a hit. And he just needs to come back with that drip and that sauce.
Exactly, man. Gotta regain it, man. He's lost the sauce. Lost in the sauce and lost in the sauce.
And lost in the sauce, I think that's all for today. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me.
All good.
Enjoyed that. As always, guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow your boy on all social medias for more.